One-on-one, never lost. Went to the finals, never lost.
You never got that far.
Who?
You.
I've been a one-on-one champ, never lost one-on-one.
All right.
Back at it again, so you guys, Spencer. You know what time it is. It's time for the most intriguing games of the week. I got 5 games from the East Texas area that I can't wait to preview here for you in the quarterfinal round. But before we get into that, we got to talk about who went off in the regional round. And so let's talk about the top 10 plays and players from the regional week. At number 10, Demarion Van Zant, Kilgore. Quarterback, the senior quarterback, went 13 of 14 for 198 yards and 1 touchdown against Lindale last week. A game that exploded in the second half with a bunch of turnovers in a row. They were going back and forth. The Kilgore's defense stood up and stopped Lindale. And so Van Zant, almost a perfect performance. Really clean and efficient football from the quarterback there. Another really efficient game. Jordan Allen from Longview comes in at number 9, 8 of 9 for 191 yards and 3 touchdowns, 6 carries, 34 yards, and Longview's big 51-7 win over Port Arthur Memorial. Jordan, an incredible game, showed a lot of poise and a lot of experience, played big, threw the ball up to Jalen Hill a couple times, found Taylor Tatum deep in the end zone. A really strong game from the senior quarterback from Longview. At number 8, Vosky Howard from Timpson, the receiver slash safety, had 6 catches for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he also came up with 5 tackles, 2 fumbles forced, and 1 fumble recovery, and a big 41-14 win over Centerville. Vosky Howard is an incredibly athletic receiver. He seems to be a prospect too. He's about 6 foot, 180 pounds, and he just had a really good game. He's been a go-to target for Terry Bussey all year, and he had a big game on offense and defense this past week. At number 7, Noah Petty, Carthage, 5 catches, 74 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 28-7 win over Gilmer. Petty coming up with 3 of those touchdowns, 3 of the 4 touchdowns against Gilmer. He was a thorn in their side. He's one of the best slots in East Texas. He is one of the best receivers on that Carthage team. They've got 3 really good ones, and he's very small and elusive and quick, and just can't get a hand on him. Patty's a really good football player, and he showed his worth against Gilmer this past week in the regionals. At number 6, Demetrius Brisbane from Chapel Hill, 233 passing yards, 11 carries, 96 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and a 35-23 win over Lumberton, in which Chapel Hill had to do some scratching back late in the second half, and they did, and they set up a big matchup against Kilgore, which we'll talk about later. At number 5, Jalen Hill, Longview, 4 catches, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 51-7 win over Port Arthur Memorial. The guy looked like he belonged at Alabama already. Looked like he was ready to go on to Tuscaloosa, and he showed his difference and showed his worth against Memorial this past week. At number 4, Ricky Stewart, Chapel Hill, 16 carries, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a big comeback victory of 35-23 over Lumberton. Ricky Stewart's just been phenomenal all year. He's been the MVP of their offense this year, and he had another great game carrying the load and getting the ball into the end zone for the Bulldogs. At number 3, Akari Johnson from Pleasant Grove, 252 yards, 5 total touchdowns, and a 37-14 win over Aubrey. He produced every touchdown for Pleasant Grove last week. He did it on the ground, did it through the air a little bit too. A couple of 1-yard touchdowns, had a long touchdown run. Their film wasn't up on Huddle, so I wasn't able to see it this week. But Akari Johnson, a big game for Pleasant Grove, setting up a big game against Carthage. And then number 2, Isaiah Ross, Kilgore. He's been doing it all year long. 19 carries, 203 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I mean, he's the Emmitt Smith. I mean, he might not be the best physical back, but when it comes down to it, he's going to have the most yards out of everybody because he continuously, week in and week out, puts in work for the Kilgore Bulldogs, just like he did against Lindale this past week. And at number 1, a junior, Boston Seahorn, Harmony, and the biggest upset of the week. I thought Harmony had no chance going into this game. Boston Seahorn shows up and goes for 350 in total yards in both passing and rushing. 4 touchdowns, also plays defense, 38-35 win over West Rusk. An incredible performance, a playoff performance, one that Harmony will always remember, and one that he'll, kind of cement his legacy, taking his team to the quarterfinals after a game where nobody really had him picked. And that's just, that's fantastic. That's great stuff there from the 16-year-old from Harmony. The top 10 plays of the week. At number 10 is Ricky Stewart. You saw it a little earlier. Watch him get down the sideline and then just tiptoe it all the way into the end zone. Big time touchdown there for Ricky Stewart. At number 9, we've got Terry Bussey. Who else? This guy making him miss in and out, and then it goes down the sideline, 57 yards. Bussey, and a monster. At number 8 is Vosky Howard. This time he's catching the RPO from Terry Bussey. Gets it on the slant, gets a stiffy, and then he's going to tell everybody else, y'all going to stop running. I'm going to score this one. Touchdown. Number 7, Demetrius Brisbane rolls out to his right off the play action. Ooh, makes one almost stumble and fall. Gets down that sideline. Touchdown. At number 6 and number 5 at this one, it's Isaiah Ross. This time gets the zone peel, gets inside, breaks a tackle, and then it's time to run. And he's going to win that race against the Lindale defense. Great job there from Isaiah Ross. Let's run it back here at number 5. This time it's a split flag. It's a zone again, little ISO kind of look. Rolls to his left, breaks a tackle, finds a lane, in and out. Touchdown with a zigzag there through the end. Touchdown, Isaiah Ross. At number 3, this one, Demarion Van Zant to P.J. Wiley. And this is what you call a dime. Damn, that's a really good throw, man. That's the number 1 play any other week. But here we go. Number 3 is Boston Seahorn catching this one. He's going to go 59 yards. Gets through there, dip, and then he's gonna outrun the boys. That's Jeremiah Johnson or Jackson. He just outran, who is a fast cat, but touchdown, Eagles. And number 2 is Jalen Hill. Boom, get off me, stiffy off the RPO, and then he's gonna outrun a very fast Port Arthur Memorial defense into the end zone. And at number 1 is Vosky Howard. He's gonna get this ball from Terry Bussey. He is running where is he at? Just running a simple deep out, gets off of him, makes a guy miss, and then he's at the 8-yard line when this thing started, and he's going to drag 3 of those boys into the end zone. Touchdown, Bears. And those are your top 10 plays of the week. Let's get into the top 10. Not even top 10, I'm just used to saying it. The most intriguing games of the week. At number 5, Harmony versus Newton. And why is this number 5? Because there's only 5 of us left out here, and Harmony has made it. I thought West Rusk was going to be here. I was, the wish for me was the rematch of West Rusk and Dangerfield. Both teams let us down on that end, but Newton is who they are. But how about Harmony, man? And I hate to, be so upbeat about it and sound like the season is over, but I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know if they got enough for Newton, but if they can play and rally behind themselves like they did last week, there's nothing that's impossible for this Harmony Eagle group this deep in the playoffs. At number 4, Cooper versus Timpson. You've got a pair of 13-0 teams right here. Don't know much about Cooper. They're kind of close to the Dallas area. It's like the country part between Canton and Dallas, pretty much is where Cooper is. But we do know about Timpson, and we do know about Terry Bussey, and we do know about Vosky Howard. 2 incredible players that could start probably anywhere in East Texas. But here they are in 2-way Timpson, and they're just giving boys hell left and right. They've been doing it all year, and I don't expect it to stop this week. At number 3, Longview and Mansfield. Timberview, 2 13-0 teams getting ready to play each other. Of course, y'all know how I'm rocking and who I'm affiliated with. But this is going to be a good game. 2 teams that are both physical, like to run the ball. Timberview has been kind of run heavy. They've kind of thrashed opponents all year long, so it'll be interesting to see what they do when Longview and Timberview matches up come Friday night. At number 2, Pleasant Grove versus Carthage. And this game is going to be a lot closer than what most people think it will be. Pleasant Grove, 22 for 22, might be able to match up for Carthage. Their best players, now their best 15 to 16 players are just as good as Carthage's. And so it's going to be about No, PG plays guys both ways. They're going to put the best guys out there on the field, and they're going to leave it all out there. And you got Carthage, who has been rolling people lately, but were slowed down against Gilmer last week, who was a good defense. Pleasant Grove, I think, is as good on defense as Gilmer. So this will be interesting to see, can they muddy this thing up enough, slow the game, well, not slow the game down, speed the game up as far as time, and take possessions away. I like their chances. I'm going with Carthage, obviously, but I do like Pleasant Grove to give them the best game that they've had all year long. And the number one game is the rematch between Chapel Hill and Kilgore. And this is the second time in 2 years that these two teams are meeting for the second time in a year, both during the regular season, this time in the playoffs. Last year, Kilgore won in the regular season at Chapel Hill. Got to the playoffs, and Chapel Hill beat them in Tyler. This time, Chapel Hill, I think they went into Kilgore, and they beat the Kilgore Bulldogs. This time, it's the playoffs. Last year's game, I think, ended in overtime. I mean, how thrilling can this possibly get? To get these two teams back at it again in the same freaking round, the same district 2 times in a row. It's a tremendous shout to both Coach Riordan and Coach, I believe it's Fuller. I think it's Coach Fuller. I hope it is. Respect to K. Both of those coaches doing an incredible job these last couple of years, but they have great programs. And it's just, I cannot wait to see what happens, man. Prediction-wise, I think I've got the team that lost last, the hungrier team, the senior-driven team, Isaiah Ross, Demarion Van Zant, P.J. Wiley, Zaylen Stoker. Most of these guys seniors, a lot of pride. They've lost before. It was a game, it was 32-13. Maybe they don't like the way. Maybe, I don't know if they're 19 points better than Kilgore. We're going to see. I'm not surprised if Chapel Hill wins. I'm not rooting against Chapel Hill. I love to watch the Chapel Hill Bulldogs. I think they're fantastic. But I just think that the Kilgore Bulldogs, with the defeat, I think they're going to use the same energy Chapel Hill gave to them last year. And I'm going with the big K in this one. So this will be fun to watch. Fun to see what happens. I think I'll be busy during this time. But man, oh man, my eyes are going to be anxiously, and this is the most intriguing game of the week. 4 weeks of playoffs, 2 rounds to go after this. Like that, I'm out.